Beneath the blinding glow of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, beneath the orchestras, the laughter, the promenades, and the towering neoclassical facades, lay a world few visitors knew existed. A world so elaborate, so strangely engineered, that even today, historians debate whether it was built for the fair, or if the fair was simply constructed on top of something far older. Because long before the lights dazzled millions, long before the White City earned its name, workers whispered that something ancient, something forgotten, stirred beneath Chicago's new wonder. And if their testimonies are true, then the story of the World's Fair isn't just about innovation and American ambition. It's about tunnels, hidden tunnels, tunnels so intricate they defy their official purpose. Some believe they were service corridors. Others insist they were something else entirely. Relics of an older civilization the world has conveniently erased. Our journey begins directly beneath the Grand Exhibition halls. When construction crews first arrived at Jackson Park, they expected flat, marshy ground. But according to early reports in personal journals, they encountered stone foundations, unexpected cavities, and pre-existing chambers embedded deep in the soil. Many were dismissed as natural formations. Others were quietly sealed off. Yet the official blueprints of the fair reveal a subterranean network impossible to ignore. Workers moved through basements with ceilings rising nearly 2.5 meters, far taller than necessary for simple storage. Corridors extended 15 to 20 meters in unpredictable directions. Some ended abruptly in sharp corners. Others looped back into themselves like a maze. The floors were reinforced with concrete that seemed far too refined for a temporary exposition. But what unsettled workers most was the sensation of being watched. One laborer wrote in his diary, preserved in a private collection, "These halls twist like the intestines of some grand beast. Even with lantern in hand, I lose my bearings. It feels as though the walls remember something I do not." It didn't help that the halls above were a spectacle of elegance, gleaming columns, ornate sculptures, and architectural mastery created in less than 2 years. How could such a perfect city rise so quickly? And why did its basements feel older? Historians explain the tunnels as necessary infrastructure. Ventilation shafts, storage rooms, heating corridors. Logical, practical, ordinary. But the layout challenges that narrative. Some corridors connected buildings that, according to official construction timelines, were not designed to share underground access. Others connected to nothing at all. Dead ends carved with precision, as if awaiting purposes never revealed. Rumors spread among night workers that sound traveled strangely there. Whispers echoed where no one stood. Footsteps trailed behind men who walked alone. Shadows appeared in lantern light where no one had passed. The fair's design committee warned staff not to wander into unlit sections, not because of danger, they claimed, but because confusion could slow the pace of work. Yet the warnings only fueled curiosity. If the network was simple infrastructure, why did even seasoned engineers lose their way? Why were some passages sealed before the fair even opened? And why did several employees claim that some chambers were discovered already built, hidden beneath layers of earth, long before the fair's foundations touch them. The closer we examine these passages, the more they resemble something deliberate, something purposeful, something concealed beneath Chicago long before 1893.
Whether these tunnels were repurposed by the fair, or whether the fair was strategically placed on top of them, remains one of the most tantalizing mysteries in American architectural history. And this is only the first layer. If the basements beneath the exhibition halls provoke curiosity, the chambers hidden beneath the Palace of Fine Arts plunge us into even deeper shadow. Spaces so massive, so strangely constructed, they raise questions no official report comfortably answers. If the tunnels beneath the exhibition halls hinted at mystery, the underworld beneath the Palace of Fine Arts transformed that mystery into something far more unsettling. Today, the palace still stands as the Museum of Science and Industry, but during the World's Fair, it was a fortress of art, innovation, and culture. Its shining halls drew millions, yet few of those visitors ever imagined what lay directly beneath their feet. According to archived engineering notes, the palace sat atop a series of deep, reinforced chambers, rooms stretching as long as 30 meters, interconnected by narrow stone corridors scarcely 1.5 meters wide. Their construction was solid, permanent, unlike the temporary plaster structures above. Their walls were too thick, their foundations too heavy, and their design too intentional for a 6-month event. Officially, these chambers served as climate-controlled storage rooms for delicate artwork and scientific instruments. A practical necessity, they said. But the workers who labored down there told a different story. One of the palace's night guards, in an interview decades later, described the basement as a place of forgotten corners. He spoke of hallways that were never marked in the blueprints, doorways that appeared and vanished behind wooden panels, and alcoves cut so precisely into the walls that they looked like they were meant to house something, or someone. Others reported entire rooms that seemed to have no purpose at all, stone chambers with no pipes, no wiring, no shelves, just empty space, silent, waiting. Some corridors extended into darkness where lanterns barely penetrated. Workers claimed these areas were older than the fair itself, their walls built from different stone, their floors shaped with unusual precision. One observer wrote, "The deeper one walks, the more the air changes. The chambers feel ancient, as if they were here long before Chicago." And this is where whispers of Tartaria enter the scene. The fair's ornate architecture, its improbable speed of construction, and its buried foundations have long fueled theories that the White City was not entirely new, that it may have incorporated remnants of a forgotten architectural tradition, one that predated modern America, one that matched the characteristics attributed to the so-called Tartarian Empire. Massive stone chambers hidden beneath a temporary plaster building? It didn't add up, unless the building above was merely a mask, as if the palace had been built on top of something. Even stranger were the reports of hidden access points, tiny stone staircases that descended further than any map indicated. Some ended abruptly in solid walls, others seemed to continue into sealed darkness. Workers were ordered not to explore them. Those who disobeyed returned pale, shaken, describing narrow passages that felt wrong, as though they led far beyond the fairgrounds. Then there were the rooms that appeared out of nowhere. A carpenter claimed that during construction he found a door that opened into a chamber he had never seen before. When he returned with the supervisor, the door was gone, walled up behind fresh plaster. Another team reported hearing low, rhythmic sounds, almost mechanical, echoing through the stone. No machinery was ever found.
Were these simply tricks of acoustics? Misunderstandings? Exhaustion? Possibly, but the accounts were numerous, consistent, and eerily similar. And one more detail remains impossible to ignore. When the fair ended, almost every major structure was demolished, torn down, removed. Almost nothing was preserved, except the Palace of Fine Arts. Why save only this one? Some argue it was because the building was made of stone instead of plaster. Others insist it was because the museum needed a permanent home. But there is another possibility, one whispered in private journals and hinted at in archived correspondence. The palace was not destroyed because it could not be destroyed. Because beneath it lay something irreplaceable, something Chicago did not wish to expose. Yet even this is only the midpoint of the story. If the palace held the deepest chambers, then the fair's electrical conduits, narrow metal-lined tunnels snaking through the earth, formed the nervous system of an underground world unseen by the public. And through those passages, shadows were said to move at night, carrying objects that no worker ever reported receiving. Beneath the glittering lights of the White City, deep under the hum of Westinghouse's groundbreaking electrical system, lay the narrowest and most unsettling network of all. These were the mechanical arteries, the conduits that carried steam, wiring, and power across the entire fairgrounds. On the surface, they were a marvel of modern engineering, but underground, these passages told a story far stranger than the official record admits. The conduits stretched barely a meter wide, some no more than 80 centimeters, their ceilings low and their walls lined with metal. By day, maintenance workers shuffled through them with tools and lanterns, inspecting pipes and cables. But by night, these tunnels became something different, an unmonitored labyrinth where movement could occur completely unseen. One worker later described them as the veins of the fair, alive, humming, but always hiding something. He claimed that more than once he heard footsteps in the distance, only to find no one there. Tools disappeared, crates shifted mysteriously, and sometimes faint whispers echoed through the metal corridors, carrying words no one could understand. But the conduits were only the beginning. Toward the Midway Pleisance, a long stretch of international exhibitions, food courts, and amusements, another network waited beneath the crowds. Shallow tunnels, just high enough for a man to duck walk through, curved under the attractions like hidden roots beneath a garden. These passages allowed performers, workers, and props to move invisibly from one attraction to the next. Yet the irregular design, twisting unpredictably beneath the rides, created pockets of deep shadow where lantern light refused to linger. A newspaper at the time noted, "It is possible to travel the entire length of the Midway without seeing daylight should one choose to use the service tunnels." And according to several vendors, people did exactly that, at odd hours, without lanterns. Rumors began to spread of individuals emerging from the tunnels who were not employees, not exhibitors, and not listed anywhere in the fair's records. They vanished into the crowds within moments, never to be identified again. Some speculated they were thieves, others believed they were spies from rival exhibitions, but only a few suggested something far stranger. That these individuals had come from parts of the tunnel system that were not constructed by the fair at all. And that brings us to the outskirts. Beyond the fair's beautiful facades and manicured walkways lay a separate network of basements, warehouses, food prep stations, administrative rooms, and supply depots. On paper, these spaces were simple: low ceilings, narrow stairwells, utility closets.
But multiple accounts describe rooms that extended far beyond their visible walls. Brick structures tucked behind wooden partitions, staircases that descended further than expected, and cold, drafty corridors leading under areas where no official structure stood above. One account, recorded by a young cook, tells of an evening when he followed a missing crate of produce into a storage basement. He found, behind a pile of lumber, a narrow stone corridor that looked nothing like the new buildings above. Its walls were ancient, smooth and curved, more like a tunnel carved with precision tools than a basement built for food service. He followed it 5 meters before the air grew unbearably cold. His lantern dimmed, and somewhere in the darkness ahead, he heard what he described as a voice, low, distant, and speaking in no language I knew. He ran. The corridor was sealed the next day. Stories like this were quietly dismissed. The fair needed no scandals. Chicago needed no mysteries. Yet workers continued whispering. Goods vanished without explanation. Shadows were seen slipping into alcoves where no doorway should exist. Some employees refused to work underground at night at all. When the fair closed, the demolition was swift, aggressive, meticulous, almost eager. Buildings were torn down, records vanished, basements were filled in, tunnels were sealed. And yet, the Palace of Fine Arts remained. Parts of Jackson Park were rebuilt. But some of those sealed tunnels, especially the deepest ones, were never excavated again. Even today, urban explorers report strange anomalies beneath the grounds. Old stone walls where none should exist, sealed archways under layers of earth, and foundations that extend far deeper than official blueprints would ever require. So we are left with the question that has lingered for more than a century. Were these tunnels simply the hidden machinery of the greatest fair the world had ever seen? Or were they remnants of something older, something forgotten, something the fair merely built upon? A mystery buried beneath the White City, right under our noses.